it's okay to be you in whatever version that is. And if you're still becoming, if you're still evolving, that's okay too. And it's okay if you're not there yet, you know? And if you never get there, if you're always unfolding, that's all right as well. In fact, that might just be perfectly beautiful to just forever unfold. Maybe I'll still be unfolding at 90, and that's all right, you know? So, yeah, keep unfolding, keep being authentically beautiful, and happy Pride. Hey folks, it's Finn. Welcome back, lovely people. Thank you so much for choosing to spend time with me today. It is lovely to see you, and if you are joining in, checking in, watching this video for the very first time, but watching my videos for the very first time, then a massive welcome. Sorry, I never get my words out properly. That's just something that you'll get used to around here if you're gonna watch my videos. It's just something that's part of being me, and celebrating being me is what we do around here, especially today. Today's video is all about celebrating me. Yeah, so if you're into that, stick around. Yeah. So yes, that is the topic of today's video. It's all about me. So, at the beginning of this year, I celebrated two massive milestones. That was 14 years since I changed my name by deed poll to Finlay, and 13 years since I started testosterone as part of my gender realignment journey. And as usual, I'm behind doing a milestone celebration around that. But at the time that I'm recording this video, it is June, and that means it's Pride Month here in the UK, and I have a Pride themed tangle. And I thought, what a lovely way to mark Pride, to do a celebratory Pride themed video all about the wonderful things about discovering yourself and just celebrating that. Celebrating discovering who I am, coming out as trans, going through transition, also discovering I'm gay, just all the lovely things that the last 14 years have contained and continue to contain and continue to evolve and reveal, because that's the thing, isn't it? Becoming isn't like a destination, it's a ongoing unfolding, and that's what it's been for me, you know. Discovering who I really am has kind of unlocked a door of like this ongoing beautiful journey of discovery, where once there was just like this black hole of nothing, now there's this beautiful unfolding, and that's what transition has given me. So yeah, I think at the moment there is a lot going on in the world around LGBTQ rights and problems. It's a lot of negativity happening. There's a lot to be worried about and fearful about, and there's a lot of unknowns, and it can be really difficult then to feel proud and to feel secure in our identities. So I think sharing stories, sharing our pride is a really good way to remind ourselves that it is good to be LGBT. We have a lot to be proud about, and reminding each other of that in every way we can is really important right now. Whether we can do that publicly, whether we can do that in forums to like help support each other, whether we can just do that in together, whatever way we can, that's our way to resist, and that's our power, you know. So yeah, so let's talk about me. I still find it incredible, all the things that have happened over the last 14 years since I changed my name. I mean, everything that started for me started really 15 years ago in 2010, when I got clean and sober, when I entered the rooms of AA, just so utterly, completely broken. I'd drunk all my life because I was in such a wreck. I was in so much pain internally. I didn't know what was going on. I tried everything to get to the bottom of why I felt so different, so lost. I just really didn't know. And in the end, I was either going to exit this planet or get to the bottom of what was going on. And that whole saying of, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'd reached the right breaking point for me to get the help I needed. And sobriety was what ended up helping me to realize I was trans. I just ended up in a real serendipitous moment of where trans visibility was just starting to bubble to the surface. And as I was getting sober, I was becoming aware of lots of trans stories. And I just then realized, once I was sober and I found these stories, two and two made sense. And for me, that was my moment of realizing this is why I've been drinking. I'm going to put a link up to my sobriety journey to tell you more about that so that I don't have to go back on it all here. But that was my moment really when everything started to change and I realized I was trans. And I made that decision to come out. I was 39 years of age, and the biggest thing for me then was to think, how can I be 39 years old and not know this? And I remember so clearly back then just thinking, I'm just not, no one's going to believe me. Everyone's going to say, well, you should have known this all that time ago. Everyone's going to like doubt what I'm saying. And if you're really a man, how can you have not known for all of these years? Everyone's going to disown me. And quite the opposite happened. There were so many people that said to them it made sense and that they'd seen it now in hindsight. And absolutely nobody disowned me. Everyone stood by me and was just so proud. And after months of, really reflecting and trying various different things to affirm my gender and seeing if it felt right, trying binders and stand P devices, STP devices, and just short haircuts and different clothing, just to see how it all felt. Finally making that step and actually changing my name and hearing everybody start to call me Finlay and Finn and he and him, and that feeling of everything clicking into place at last and just starting to feel seen properly was just this absolutely incredible feeling. I still struggle to put it into words, and it's bizarre because back then, this is the whole thing that was the problem, is that I'd never had the words to explain how I felt. And discovering trans people, trans blogs, trans videos, trans language gave me the words to express what I'd felt all of my life. But I still can't quite adequately, even with those words, even 14 years on, put into words the way it feels when you suddenly start living your life in the gender that matches how you really feel. It's just like, I've described it before, like a car backfiring and that suddenly clicks into place, and it is like that. It is hearing somebody say a name that matches you, hearing pronouns that match you. When somebody sees you as the man you know yourself to be and they're looking at you rather than through you, the way they're relating to you feels right. And there is no word that adequately explains that. It is this deep feeling of yesness that goes through your entire body in a way I will never be able to adequately put into words, that I still get now. It's that feeling that everyone grows up with when they're a cis male, that they never know that they have, but that we as trans people get because we've lived the opposite way, where it feels so discombobulating and just so, well, the gender dysphoria you feel all your life, when I've always felt like some people are looking through me, they relate to me in the wrong way, and then suddenly they're relating to me in the right way. And when I started testosterone a year later, this feeling was just like tenfold even better. You know, when I started testosterone therapy, and then gradually my voice started to break, and my face started to just gradually shift, and I wasn't then having to correct people. Oh, my pronouns are he, him. Because at first, I would say to people, oh, my name's Finn, and they'd go, Phyllis? Because they would think, hang on, is this person male or female? And they've said Finn. So what's Finn for? What's a female name for Finn? Is it Phyllis? They'd try and work it out. If I didn't speak, people would gender me male. But then when I'd speak, my voice would then make people think, oh, sorry, miss, madam. But as soon as the testosterone started to change my voice, then people would gendering me correctly. And so on testosterone, this feeling then of like people really seeing me never having to correct people, because what would happen is I'd go out for the day and I'd get lots of, can I help you, sir? You're right, mate. Lots of all of that real kind of people definitely seeing me as male. Then I'd walk into a shop and someone would go, can I help you, miss? And that awful gut-wrenching gender dysphoria would come rushing back in and just completely crush me. And it'd be awful. But with testosterone, that was happening less and less. My confidence was going up, and my self-esteem was going up, and my mental health. I mean, I just couldn't believe how much my mental health was changing. It wasn't just my mental health itself, it was my ability to manage it, because I hadn't had the space to manage my mental health up until that point. My mental health was just exhausting and I hadn't realized just how much energy and effort I was putting in every day just to survive what was gender dysphoria. Because I hadn't had the words, I didn't realize how much of my depression was around this aspect of it, of just everyday coping with like social interactions with people just really not seeing me, really not responding to me properly, and that awful feeling of just like being a non-person, because I didn't know I was male in the sense of, I thought once you were told you were female, that was it. I didn't feel female, but I didn't know I could have the option to be male until I knew about transgender and transgender, until I knew about gender transition later on. So I was just walking around just feeling really off in myself. And so I didn't have any spare energy to work on my mental health, because all of it was just surviving this inner pain on a daily basis. And then once I had this wonderful feeling of just like this space inside my body, I had all this energy spare to start working on my mental health. And I'd never had that before. And my mental health had started improving with my recovery. And now with like all of this like self-esteem improving, because I was, my inside was congruent with my outside, I was able to start making better choices for myself and manage my life better. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible what was happening. And I just wasn't recognizing myself. And nobody who had been in like contact with me with services before was recognizing me either. They were saying to me, the person in these forms who we have been in contact with before is just simply not the same person. We can't believe the work you've done on yourself. It's absolutely incredible, and you should be so proud. And it's just, that was the power of gender transition, of simply coming out and starting testosterone therapy. That was before I had any surgery. It just, the impact of it was incredible, absolutely incredible. And as the years have gone on, that's just got better and better. And of course, now, I've discovered I'm autistic, and that's been part of my journey too. And I can see now, because the one thing that's remained a problem for me has been my anxiety. I've been able to manage and work on my depression, but my anxiety has continued to be an issue for me. And this is what gender transition has allowed me to do. It's allowed me to start picking apart this big ball of string. And I've mentioned this ball of string numerous times in my videos. I transitioned later, and lots of damage has been done for me, with lots of mental health problems growing up, and lots of problems with undiagnosed gender dysphoria, and lots of problems with, just being hyper vigilant for lots of time, which has contributed to the chronic illness. And I've talked about that lots of times as well. So I've had to unpick a lot of what's been going on for me. Unpicking the gender dysphoria and transition was one aspect of it, and clearly neurodivergence was another aspect. But for me, I think I probably needed to do the gender transition first, so I sorted out all of the kind of outside stuff, my presentation, who I am, my gender identity, so that I could work out what aspect of that was. And now I'm left with, okay, what's the rest of it? And this is the next part of my working out that side of my authenticity, I think, in that aspect of me that I also had to kind of mask, because I've been masking all of my life in terms of trying to be somebody for other people. I had to kind of put on this front of, I'm not really a woman, and I'm also not really a man, and just trying to be what anyone else wanted me to be. But I've also been masking autism and trying to be neurotypical. So I've been this big masking mess all my life. And with my gender transition, I've been this real butch tomboy all my life. And I've seen myself soften, become this quite camp version of myself. And that's much more me. But then there's this other layer underneath that's been coming out even before the autism diagnosis. And I can see now that that's the other masked version of myself that is now starting to come out as well. So it's been a door for me. First the sobriety, then the gender transition, which also allowed me to discover I'm gay. And now it's been a way of discovering my neurodivergence, my autism, my possible ADHD. And as I said, it's been a whole journey of becoming, because this is it, isn't it, in life? We don't just become something and that's it. It is a gradual unfolding of our identity, and that's absolutely okay. And I think we often think, that's it, we become one thing and that's it, end of. But that isn't life, is it? And that's absolutely okay. For me personally, this really feels, I mean, it's difficult at the moment. I've said it is. It really is. But it's good difficult. This feels like now, because for me, moving into gender transition and then discovering myself as a gay man, and this much softer side of my personality coming out as part of my really settling into who I am as a man, rather than this kind of this is what I need to be as a man, and moving into my own version of male has been beautiful. And now this new kind of unmasked me, it feels really wonderful, because I really love this whole authenticity that coming out as trans has allowed me, and just being trans in general. Because I think when you're trans and you're LGBTQ, when you're a member of this community, we get to be us in a way that I think a lot of people struggle to be. because there is so much pressure from society to be a certain way. And with us, we really do get to be ourselves and live outside of society, because we're pushed out that outside of society anyway. So we might as well embrace that and allow ourselves to just be our authentic selves. And I think that is the absolute gift of being a member of our community, that we do get to do that rather than be sheep. Because human beings are diverse, evolving creatures. We're supposed to. We're supposed to be evolving, diverse, beautiful, different, not the same. And I often wonder whether that's why the world gets so cross with us, because we scare them. I love the authenticity that this journey brings and the ever evolving nature of it, even when it's tough. So, yeah, this has been a long video of me just thinking out loud of stuff. But I hope that it gives you something today on Pride Month, that it's okay to be you in whatever version that is. And if you're still becoming, if you're still evolving, that's okay too. And it's okay if you're not there yet, And if you never get there, if you're always unfolding, that's all right as well. In fact, that might just be perfectly beautiful to just forever unfold. Maybe I'll still be unfolding at 90, and that's all right, So, yeah, keep unfolding, keep being authentically beautiful, and happy Pride. If you relate to this, if you have your own beautifully unfolding, unique, diverse, gorgeous journey you want to share with me below, please do drop a message. And if you relate and this wasn't just a random upload, then do let me know in the comments below. We are off to Cardiff Pride this week, which is why this video was uploaded and is quite waffly and has absolutely no structure, because I wanted to just get it up, and I realised I haven't plugged my microphone in, so the sound might not be that great. Oops. So yeah, it might be a couple of weeks before I get a video, but I'm going to send some pictures from Cardiff Pride, so do check out my Instagram for some pictures of the big Cardiff Pride. I've not been to a big Pride for a while. So yes, take care of yourselves, everybody. Have a lovely rest of week and weekend, and I'll catch up with you all soon. Take care of yourselves. Love you all.
Talking